And welcome to Pulp Mythos. I'm Brian here with Larry, and we're going to be discussing a new series on HBO, Mare of Easttown. This is episode 1, titled Miss Lady Hawk Herself. If you're not familiar with this channel, this is Pulp Mythos. We break down the show. We'll talk for probably 30 to 50 minutes. We're going to analyze it. Do our best to analyze it. We're going to do these every single week. So hit the sub button, hit the bell if you haven't already. A lot of other content on the channel. Check that out as well. And let's get started. It's a murder mystery. HBO produces quite a few of those, and they're all typically really good. Perry Mason was really good last year, so was The Undoing. This is a similar case in that we have a young girl who is tragically murdered. That's sort of the end of the episode. Our lead character, being Mare, is the head investigator or detective that'll be on the case. But there's actually 4 mysteries, in my opinion. I'm going to go through them, and then we can go from there. The first being, obviously, the murder of Aaron. Who did it? Secondly, there's a cold case from a year ago, a character named Katie Bailey who is dead. Well, actually, we don't know if she's dead. She might not be dead, for all we know, but the assumption is that she is. Her mother, Dawn Bailey, is pushing to get the case going again. She's messing with the press. They're actually going to send an agent who will be played by Evan Peters, which I'm looking forward to be in that case. The third thing is there's like a peeping Tom who's like looking at little girls. Could that tie into it? We don't know. And then finally, we're assuming Mare's son is dead. She's raising her grandson, who's 4 years old. He mentions his father was Kevin. We get no discussion about Kevin. We know that Mare's divorced. Her husband, Frank, is getting remarried. And there's a weird dynamic between her and pretty much everyone in her life. So maybe that's tied to that. They don't go into it. Any thoughts initially as far as the mysteries, what we've been shown so far in this show, and how are you liking it?
Yeah, actually, you warned me that it was a slow burn, but I actually, I'm enjoying it quite a bit. I'm curious, like you said, about the main mysteries and stuff. They've left a lot of things fairly vague, like what's the situation with Kevin, her grandson's father. Like, is he dead, or is he just like an absentee father, or is Kevin even not her son? Is it just the dad? Is this
True.
her? Could this maybe be her daughter's kid? Like and as far as the murders, is this tied? Is the current murder tied to the old murder, if there is one? Or is this person just missing?
Yeah, it's about a full hour, and in that course of that hour, they do a really good job of introducing you to the town, to all the little dynamics. It's a legit well done mystery because I have no idea. I mean, the character of Erin, who we'll talk about more here in a moment, we lay out all the shit she's going through in her life, which is horrible, very tragic character, and she's killed in a place in which a lot of people are at. So there's a lot of possibilities as far as who could have done it. Now, obviously, there's the obvious choices. The show goes out of its way to be like, okay, her ex-boyfriend is a complete, D-bag. His girlfriend is, beats the shit out of her. So, there was an actual assault. So, obviously you'd be like, well, maybe it's one of those 2 characters or both of them. They have a whole crew with them, but there was a lot of other people at that scene. And we're introduced to a lot of other characters as well. So as far as who it could be, just for shits and giggles, is there someone that stands out that you're like, you know what, it's probably them?
Well, as far as people who stand out, I don't think it's either of those 2. Either of the kids at the party is not Dylan or Dylan's girlfriend. Because they probably had their laughs and continued partying, even though what they did was incredibly cruel. I feel there's something more though, and I'm hoping, like the obvious answer, at least in my mind, I'm hoping it's not the person who showed up just a few short moments ago. The gentleman that Mayor met at the bar.
Richard.
Richard. Yeah, because Richard is the most obvious suspect. Like, oh, this guy's a writer. And he just showed up a few months ago. What does he write about? Yeah, I bet his books have something to do with murder or abductions or something. So I'm sure suspicion will fall on Richard, but I feel if it's Richard, it's a little cliche.
Yeah, he's new to town. Nobody knows him. He's just, he's hanging out at the bar. Like you said, he's this writer. He lectures at the college. Um, yeah, he's definitely a character that you're like, all right, well, what's going on with this guy? Is he just there to be part of Mare's life now? To help her through her stuff, or is he, are we going to weave him into being a suspect? We also have the whole peeping Tom guy situation, um, which we get a couple scenes, discussing that. So I would hope it's not Richard or even Dylan or Brianna. I hope it's something a little more interesting than
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Any of those three, that would be too on the nose. Like her thing with Dylan, it like from what we've seen so far. I'm sure we'll get more, as the series goes on. But it would seem entirely too petty, even though what they did was some very petty stuff. It would seem a little too. It would seem a little weird for him to go as far as murder, especially with Dylan being, a father who's not all there. For him to murder his ex-girlfriend and then have to have full parental, custody and everything, and have to actually take care of his kid.
Yeah,
It would
there's
make,
even a scene where him and Brianna are sitting there with the baby and they just look miserable. Like the idea of having to take care of the child, they're not interested. And so yeah, it would be odd for them to kill the mother. You know what I mean? Because you're right, they'd be stuck. They would be in a situation where they would have to take the child. It's twisted to think of it that way, but that's exactly why I don't think they did it.
right. It's probably not them. And I'm sure at some point, as it often does in these type of shows, suspicion will fall on the father. You know, because that's the one relative we've seen. It's like, but I doubt it's him because again, there's a chance that Dylan wouldn't step up and he'd have to take care of the baby, and he seemed like an angry person, and he seemed like someone who's well, yeah, he was cruel. He was more than a little cruel to his daughter, but we haven't seen anything that would indicate that he'd go that far. And again, you know that may potentially put the ball in his court if Dylan doesn't step up. That it's like, oh well, you're stuck taking care of your grandkid.
Well, let's before we get into Mare, yeah, let's stay on Erin right now because her body, we see it at the end, and it's not only a big gash over her eye. Um, she seems to be unclothed, based on the way it was shot. So one can make an assumption as to other things were probably done to her, not just the murder itself. So then you're thinking, okay, well then it more than likely is a guy, but not necessarily. There's a lot of possible dynamics there. If anybody, well, I don't want to spoil that show, so I'm not going to use that example. But I was about to use an example, but it would have been a spoiler for another show. But there's a lot of possibilities with that. They did show her father come home in the morning when the sun was already up. That ending little montage was interesting because it was I don't think he did it, but I mean it was showing that he was out all night.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yet again it's like, who could it be? He's not necessarily completely not guilty, but then again it shows him in the preview trying to kill Dylan because he's like, you killed my daughter, um, which would make you assume that he didn't do it.
And even then, that could be him in denial about the whole situation, or trying to make it look like he didn't. If it looks like he's harassing Dylan, and Dylan reports this in any way, then that just makes him look like an angry father who's suspects Dylan.
We could have a Twin Peaks scenario here.
It could well be. It could well be. It's feeling a little Twin Peaks anyway.
I talk about Twin Peaks so much on this channel. We need to just do some Twin Peaks videos because love the shows, and the movie even.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's talk. Okay, I want to talk about, it's a little more lighthearted because it made me laugh, but the macaroni and cheese scene, because I don't know. It's a
Like,
very serious show, and it's a lot of serious stuff. And obviously, the character Erin is brutally murdered. But when her dad sits down and he digs
because
into that,
it's
it
one of
goes.
those moments.
Yeah,
it's
go ahead.
it's just one of those moments where it's like, how dumb are you? Just that you didn't think to check how hot this shit was.
He digs in so hard on that mac and cheese. No, I mean, just goes all in. And it's hot as shit. Like we saw her, like he said, he didn't hear the microwave ding or the when he walked through the door. Like she's pulling the wrapper off, and he bites into it.
Exactly. She just pulled the wrapper off. It's like, and he looks at her like she intentionally burned him.
He's so mad. But we get in that scene, we're getting an idea of her home situation. Her dad's just angry all the time. He's going off on her about everything, and he's really pissed off at the fact that he's having to pay for her child. And there's a whole situation where Dylan doesn't want to pay for the. I guess the kid needs something done with his ear, and the dad's like, yeah, he's gonna pay, and he's just being an asshole to her. Here's a young girl who she has a son when she's clearly high school age. Um, she just wants to raise her kid. She's looking for love. She misses Dylan. She's texting who she thinks is some dude named Brendan online. It turns out it's Brianna playing a trick on her, which goes back to what we were talking about earlier when she meets up with her and beats her up. Aaron is just in a really shitty situation, and then ends up dead.
Yeah, exactly. It's like she really doesn't have a place where she fits in this town. Her home life is terrible. The her life with the baby's father is terrible. And honestly, the baby's kind of all she's got. That's normal in her life. Like even when she shows up, at that little party in the woods, you know, all her friends act like they hadn't seen her in, God knows how long. Well, since she got pregnant. So, it's the sort of thing where she's completely detached from everyone in this town and, just seemingly looking for some sense of normalcy and, just getting spat on every direction.
There's a lot to dive into on Mare, and so I got it broken down from her detective stuff, her family stuff, the Lady Hawk stuff, and then we'll go into Richard. But focusing on the detective stuff, they show that she's heavily respected in the town. She's well aware of everybody and what they're up to and what they're doing. We get a case where a man named Freddie, he just stole from his sister. He's got like a drug problem. She knows exactly where he's going. She gets to him. She takes care of the whole situation, de-escalates it, does what a cop's supposed to do. Um, and everybody sort of respects her. They're like, yeah, she knows what she's doing. The only exception to that is the whole situation with the Katie Bailey case. She basically is like, look, we know that she was into drugs. We know she was into prostitution. She's probably dead. And then she rattles off all the things she's done. She's like, I made all these phone calls. We checked all these lakes. We did, she feels that she's done everything she could possibly do on that case, and it's over. The girl is gone. But Dawn Bailey, the mother and old friend of Mare, disagrees. It's her daughter. She's like, this is bullshit. You guys gave up after a year. You need to stay on the case. So, as far as her detective work, the only sort of hiccup in it seems to be that particular case.
Yeah, and Mare takes it personally that she's trying to get national attention to help find her daughter and everything. And Mare comes off as real cold and real crass and just sort of detached and honestly, in the beginning, like she doesn't care at all. But then you get scenes like where she's there in the middle of the night hanging up posters and everything, and which is supposed to be one of those scenes that shows that to some degree, or at least it seems to be framed this way to show that to some degree she does care, but that she's truly lost all hope of finding this person. Uh, but like Mare, your initial introduction to Mare just makes her seem super cold, and they're writing a thin line, to where it's like her personality is super abrasive. She wants everybody to it seems like she keeps everyone at arm's length. Like she doesn't want anybody let anybody in close. But you know, like there may be reasons for that. We're in episode one, and it seems like this town has a complicated history because we have all these ties that are only hinted at or mentioned to some degree. Like you mentioned, the whole situation with her grandson and everything. Like who are his parents and what's the situation? Why is she raising her grandson? There's a lot of little small town secrets in history. Like just the fact that which is part of the reason she knows why to deal with the people in this town so well in normal circumstances, because it seems like it's a very close knit, small community, where everybody knows everybody, and just kind of a little something about each other to some degree.
Her family life is, like you said, we keep bringing up the grandson only because the show doesn't explain it. Because we know he's four. We know it's her, specifically she says grandson, that, okay, it's not her son. Who's the parents? Where's who's this Kevin? Is it her son? Was it someone else? We don't know. She has her daughter, Siobhan, who seems super young, high school. So I'm like, the kid's four. I can't imagine it being hers. She has her mother that lives with her. We don't really know the details on that. It sounds like it was a recent event that she moved in. Her cousin Dan, he's a priest. We know he visits and hangs out at the house sometimes. And then the house directly behind her is her ex-husband Frank and his fiance Faye. And there seems to be a good relationship between everyone in terms of Frank and everyone that's in that house. The only odd thing is Mare. Mare, it doesn't seem like there's a negative thing. It just seems like she doesn't want to deal with him. She doesn't want to talk to him. She doesn't want to be around him. We don't know the details as to why, but that clearly is there. What was your vibe specifically with Frank? Because there's a scene at the bar where Frank comes in and she's just like, "Yeah, I gotta go."
Yeah.
So we don't know what ended their relationship or the real specifics of it, but everyone seems to love Frank and they like her, and you know what I mean? Like it's not no one has chosen a side, if you will, in this
Yeah.
divide.
Yeah, and oftentimes you see that kind of thing where it's like, there's a side that people have chosen, or, like it'll be presented where one of them is viewed as, at fault or the bad guy, but everybody just seems like they're at a point where, the whole town is like, well, it is what it is, and we're still friends with both these people, which is which I don't know. It's hard to say. Like you said, maybe their son died and that hurt their relationship and things were strained. Um, and that's why they're raising their grandson, and that's why they're separated, just because of the strain of that. Or Mare seems like she's the type of person that does sort of just sort of what's the word I'm looking for here? She pushes people away when she's dealing with hard emotions. Maybe that in itself was enough. That you just got tired of that, and or vice versa. We haven't seen much personality traits for Frank. It could be something with Frank, or genuinely a mutual agreement why they're separated. But yeah, either way, like you said, it's odd that the whole town just seems to be friends with both of them. And but I imagine, it seems to me, especially since they were hesitant to tell Mare about the engagement, that perhaps there's still some feelings there that she has for him. That's what it seems like to me, and that's why I imagine, she was as soon as he walks in the bar, she wants to go somewhere else because she wants to stop thinking about him.
Yeah, that definitely a possibility. Absolutely. We we also learn, and this could tie into some stuff to a degree, the whole Lady Hawk storyline, which is sort of interesting. 25 years ago, she was on, the basketball team for, I guess, the high school, and she won like, they were state champions or whatever, and she shot the winning shot, and so she became known as Lady Hawk. And I mean, this town still worships her. Like you said, there's a huge event in her honor, and then the whole team's honor. They have her jersey hanging up. I mean, it's a big deal. People still call her. She goes to a bar, hey, Lady Hawk. So she's this sort of. I mean, she seems successful when you really break it down. Okay, she was very popular in high school. She was on this winning team. The town loves her for that. She becomes a detective, and you know, seems to do well with that. She has a nice home, a family. When you really step back, it's like everything seems to be pretty solid in your life. Clearly, something went wrong, and I do think it has to do with the origins of Andrew's parents, her son or whoever. Because yeah, it's like what went wrong? Because everything seems pretty good in her life.
Right. Everything else seems fine. Like even like her kid seems well adjusted, even. And it's there's no signs that there's anything really wrong with this family for the most part. So yeah, any sort of falling out or anything, or the fact that she's abrasive as she is. I mean, well, I don't know. That could just be her personality, to be honest. But like there's clearly some drama with what happened to her son, and because like you and I were saying before we started recording, like my assumption is the person that she saw when she was just laying there in her room tired, that was her son. That she like had a just sort of a vision, for lack of a better word, of her son sitting there in that chair across from her after she was done talking to his son about him.
Yeah, that's my gut. Yeah, yeah, that's the guess definitely. So yeah, and then we brought up Richard earlier in terms of suspects. So she meets a guy at a bar, and we basically laid out what he does, and he's hitting on her, and he's interested, and they go back to his place, they hook up, and then she leaves. He's basically like, hey, let's make this a thing, and or at least try and hang out at some point. And it was a great line though, because she was like, she's like, no, I think this is just a one-time thing. And it was the way she delivered it was great. But he's just like, hey, can I get your number? And she's like, I'll call you. So, um, yeah, I liked all that. That was funny to me.
Yeah, that whole thing. And like I said, I hope it's not Richard, because that'd be too cliche. Him being the new person in town, having no real connections, just sort of drifting through, being here just for lectures and everything, But
Now, do you think the peeping person, whoever's looking at young girls in the
could
windows
be
or whatever?
Richard.
Yeah, I was thinking there's going to be a red herring. There always is. Dylan's partially probably it, but also whoever that person is, at some point they're going to assume is the murderer. I think, but I
Yeah.
don't. But it may not be. You know what I mean? Like I'm starting to also. These shows always usually have two or three, like, oh no, it's them or it's them. Um, do you think it will definitely tie into the Katie Bailey thing or not? That to me is interesting, because if it does, then we have sort of a serial killer as opposed to just a one-time murder.
It may tie in, and we may have a situation where with the peeping tom, where like maybe it's a legit peeping tom, maybe it's not there, maybe there's some other drama going on there. But even if it is, I don't feel that person is the killer. What I feel we're gonna get there is it's sort of another lead that once they find that person, because that person is doing what they're doing, they oversaw something, you know, because we don't,
Yeah, yeah.
so maybe this person has an idea of, or at least clues or hints to who the real murderer is.
The interesting thing about where the murder took place, we said it earlier, but a lot of people were there, including Mayor's daughter. She was there with her band mates and her friends. They helped Erin because she was being beaten up by Brianna. When Erin walks off, we don't get to see her again. So from that point on, we have no idea what happened to her until obviously the morning when we see her dead body. So, not saying it was Siobhan, but she was definitely, she's not outside of the suspect range, if you will,
Right.
because she was present at the location in which this took place. Anyone who was there could have at some point went to meet Aaron, and for whatever reason it resulted in her death. So it is interesting that little montage at the end after we see her body, we see her dad coming in the morning time. We see Siobhan seems restless. she's up. There's little things like that that's like, okay, there's the show is teasing us with many, many possibilities as far as what exactly is going on. Now, the preview was decent. It gave a little too much. I don't like previews that do that because they start revealing that, oh, there's more mysteries behind Erin and her past that we don't know. You don't need to tell me that in the trailer yet.
Yeah.
I'm already into the show, invested. I don't need you to already start leading me down the fact that, okay, there's more to her story. Yet again, making a Twin Peaks reference to Laura Palmer, where the holy shit that lots and lots of crazy things were discovered
More
over the
history
course.
with, yeah, everyone in that town than you could have imagined from, the initial investigation. Yeah, absolutely. I see what you're saying. Like that's how it turned out in Twin Peaks, and that's a good point because, yeah, we did get to see, like, we got to see what Erin's world was at the time of the murder, but we didn't know what her history was with everyone else at that party or everyone else in that town, or if her and Siobhan did talk after, she offered her a ride and they had some sort of falling out due to some sort of history or conflict they've had in the past. You know,
It could be multiple. Yeah, absolutely. There could have been multiple people that she engaged with after that scene. Um, maybe it could have been a scenario where she talked to some people, but they're not the ones that killed her. Someone else killed her, but the ones who, they may become suspects because they were around her. There's a lot of possibilities here, and I think there's six. I think it's 7 episodes total. So we got 6 more episodes. So that's a pretty good amount to
yeah,
flesh out this mystery.
yeah, that's a decent length for a miniseries.
What'd you think of the first day on duty? Tremel was the cop who, who had an
Yeah,
issue with blood.
can't stand the sight of blood.
I thought
Yeah,
that was interesting.
like she said, it's like you think you maybe wanted to think that through before you took this job, or and yeah, I know he said he got over it, but once again, he might have wanted to check on that before he started work and see if he was legitimately over that. Like, but yeah, Tremel probably be a pretty interesting character.
Yeah, I've seen him in a lot of the promotional pictures and stuff. So yeah, he'll definitely play a bigger role in the show. Let me see here. I like the dynamic of her basketball friends are the ones that were all on the team. That she has the one that she's like really close with, her best friend. She has the one that's angry at her because her daughter's missing. Sort of it's refocusing on the idea that this sort of that small town thing where they've known each other for 25 plus years.
Hmm.
That winning shot was shot 25 years ago, and yet they're all still tied to each other in some way. Really re-emphasizes the whole small town aspect of the show.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like you said, they've likely many of them have known each other their whole lives, and you know, and it's like small victories like that are big important things to this town and to them. That the fact that they still have these ceremonies and they still attend them for one, and it's so like you were saying, there's going to be a lot of history here. Like, I think that's a sign of things to come. That not only do we have that history with them, but clearly because it is such a small town, we're going to see that there's a number of people whose histories and whose lives are intertwined with Aaron's or Dylan's and what have you.
Yeah. That's all my notes. I think I ran through everything. Is there anything else you want to talk regarding the first episode of Mare of Easttown?
Yeah, I just want to say again, I hope it's not so on the nose that it's the boyfriend, well, either boyfriend, that it's Aaron's old boyfriend, or should I say baby daddy, or that it's Mare's new boyfriend, because either those are the most obvious suspects, but that's too on the nose, and it's like I won't mention this other, I think it's the other series that you're avoiding mentioning too. It's
Yeah.
like, but you know.
It was.
Well,
Well,
let's just
I
say
can
some
dance
things.
around it.
Yeah, let's just say some things we watched in the past. It's been too on the nose. It's been too obvious. You
Yeah.
know, when you know who it is from episode one, it's it's no fun when that reveal happens, and it's like you were right about everything.
That was the thing that was so great about Perry Mason was it was as time went on, you kept the mystery of who did the murder. It became more complex than that, where there was more to it than just the murder itself. And so it wasn't only trying to figure out okay who did the murder, but there's other parts to it. So even though once you figure out the murder part, you're like, well, that's fine, but there's all this other stuff I need to know. And so it kept building up, and it was very very brilliantly written. Another show, The Undoing, which is let's just say it's very obvious, and whatever you assume it is, it probably is. And even though it was a good show and I enjoyed it, by the time we got to the end, I was just like, it was a little too obvious. Um,
Well, yeah, and for fans of the book, you know, they say that's roughly how it was in the book, except it was a little obvious. It was even more obvious in the book early on. You know, it's like they I think they ruined a good chance to mix things up because you know they wove such a good narrative and there were so many people tied that you really could have gotten something interesting. And I hope this show avoids those mistakes. Even if there's a book for this one too, which I don't know, you know, and it's like, no, it's obviously this guy. You know,
yeah,
I hope if I'm right about what I'm hoping I'm wrong about, I hope it's a different answer.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And you know that going back to praising Twin Peaks is not only did I never guess what what really happened. There's way more. Once even you get to the answer, there's
Hmm.
way more shit going on that's even more, um, interesting to learn about. And so, a good murder mystery is one in which the murder mystery is not the only interesting thing about the show. There's other things to it as well.
Right.
And let's hope this one does that. We're only one episode in, but so far so good.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Twin Peaks, yeah, and I know, like you said, we bring it up a lot, but it's such a good example for a show like this because when we got our answers in Twin Peaks, it was so shocking that I was wide eyed, but yet I could still go back and think, oh my God, you know, when this character did this thing, and when he did this and this and this, you know, like it sends you as the viewer into your own little personal montage in your head of going back and looking at this person's past actions, you know, instead of actually having to even show you that and you're like, it makes sense, but man, that's messed up.
Yeah. um, but yeah, anything else? Mare of Easttown.
No, I think we covered everything. You know, it's just like I said, I'm just hoping for a good mystery, and it's been pretty engaging so far. Like you know, even the little personal narratives, you know, have kept my attention throughout the show.
Yeah, yeah. All the character moments. Yeah, I hope we get more Freddy. I'm like, was Freddy? Did he go to the shelter, or did they
Yeah,
turn his heat back on? Like, I want to know what's going on.
I was actually curious about that. It was like, yeah, what's up with Freddie and the situation at the shelter, and you know, and is he going to be an issue later on?
And we're both we enjoy American Horror Story, so we like Evan Peters, and
Hmm.
so knowing that he's going to be a prominent member, of the show, and he's coming up, that's exciting too. Um, so that's actually one of the things that sold me on on even watching the show. So, and the fact that he wasn't in the first episode at all, and I still enjoyed it, is it's a positive.
Yeah,
So,
which like what you said, says to me that perhaps his character is the investigator coming from out of town that they were talking about. That he's going to be, you know, our sort of, you know, fish out of water character who's new to this town and everything, and doesn't have a relationship with all these other characters.
yeah, that's what it looked like from the trailer. Um, but all right, yeah, we will do this again next week. Like I said, there's a lot of other content on the channel. Snowfall season finale coming up. Can't wait to see that and talk about that. We're going to do a Falcon Winter Soldier season review. We're going to do the next episode of Invincible, City on a Hill. What else are we doing? We're doing all kind of shows right now, so definitely look out for all of that content. So yeah, thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.